Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome to a very sunny. I'm fucking warm and sweaty. I've even got a fan on the go in the abyss and all
I
that.
don't know. It's looking pretty murky and foggy here, man.
Yeah, but I got Bristol. Look at it.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
fucking in it. But anyway, how are you, sir? It's Friday as well. Fucking
It's
end of the week.
Friday. It's Bank Holiday Friday as
Oh
well, man.
shit, is it as
So,
well? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
we've got 3 days of absolute leisure ahead of us.
Well, you have. I fucking work Saturdays. You can't. But there you
I'm
go.
just, I'm just trying to be optimistic.
All right, right. Well, you do that. What are we here for?
Well, we are here to talk about a brand new album from URZAH, A Tranquil
Huzzah.
Void. It's another APF release.
Mm.
What date is it released? It's got to be coming up soon, isn't it?
Is it the 5th or 6th of June, whatever the Friday lands in that range? I think it's the 5th, isn't it?
Right, I think so. Anyway, so yeah,
So
first
it's
Friday of
6th,
June.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Let's do some
Friday the
maths.
6th. There you go.
Friday the 6th.
6th
Cool.
of the
So out,
6th, 26. Yeah, there you go. Nice
out,
and equal.
yeah, out via APF, 6th of June. Um, yes, what can I say? I mean, I'll do a quick roll call. So URZAH, we've got Ed Fairman on vocals and guitar, Tom McElveen on guitar and vocals also, uh, Dan Bradley on bass, and James Brown on drums.
James
Okay.
Brown.
Yes, yeah, not the James Brown.
Ah,
Um,
fucking hell.
I know. I used to be in a band with someone called James Brown, and I was equally as kind of like, oh, it's not James Brown then. But
Too many jokes and not enough time. So I guess my place to start with Urza really is the first album came out a couple of years ago, and
yeah,
we were big fans of it, weren't we? They kind of sort of come out now. They're a very new band. They've only been in existence about 6 weeks, and
yeah.
we were joined by Tom and Ed a couple of weeks ago. So go and check that out, and you can sort of get a bit more of the story.
Oh man, they give a
Um,
great insight to how the band came together.
yeah,
Pretty unique. Well, I suppose it's not that unique, but
old
it was.
school, I think, is the way to look at it these days, isn't it? It's
That's a very good point.
you
That's a
know.
very good point.
So, but yeah, so it's second album has been a couple of EPs as well, and
Mm,
I guess the debut album was fucking superb, but it was a debut album, and they're obviously sort of finding their feet together as a band and all that kind of thing. So now it's all about solidifying that and
yeah,
making that sort of next step. So there's always a little bit of pressure on a second album as a new band, isn't there? To sort of follow
fair
up on,
comment.
on a
Yeah,
well-received debut,
yeah.
which first impressions, I'd say they most definitely have done that. Um,
Well, I mean, I would say a very similar thing. I think first impressions really, I mean, if we're going true first impressions, it's like how sort of big and comfortable it sounds. It's a confident album.
yeah,
That's what I should
yeah,
say, not comfortable. What I mean is confident. Um, like I'm old enough to remember a time when if a band was on an independent label or if they were self-releasing music, like you could tell.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like the production level was just different. Like the major labels kind of had the monopoly on a spanking sounding album. Um, but these days, that's completely gone. So
Yeah.
independent bands are releasing music that it's up there with the major releases just in terms of sonically, the fidelity of it, the level of production that's gone into it. So straight away I thought this is a cracking sounding record, man, and they sound, as I said, confident.
Yeah, there's like a real weight to the low end, isn't there? But the more melodic parts, which I think for me anyway, there are more of on this album than there was on A Scorching Gaze. I think this at times it's heavier, at times
Mm,
it's more aggressive, but there's these sort of melodic refrains here, there, and everywhere that just tie it all together quite nicely. But yeah, you're
agreed.
right. The production just it suits the music perfectly. The low end on the guitar on the riffs is just
Mm.
it reminds me of Neurosis a lot.
Well, it's funny you talk about Neurosis because obviously there's been a lot of celebration in the last couple of months because we've seen the return of Neurosis, and certainly in this genre of music, a lot of people have said, that's a fantastic thing. But an album like this comes along, and you sort of think, did we even need Neurosis back?
Ooh, see, I was going to go there, and I'll go there again in a little minute, in a little bit. So let's talk about the album first for a minute before we start throwing
Yeah,
around
of course.
sweeping statements. So it opens up with, with at the mouth of the cave, which is a great title anyway.
It
And this
is,
this is
yes.
like I said, the neurosis thing. It's quite evident, and this is not sitting here saying that they're copying neurosis because they're most definitely not. It's post metal, it's sort of sludgy post metal, so the comparisons are going to happen. But this is it's a very dark, moody sort of
Oh,
again
completely.
heavy, yeah, heavy song. Um, about 2 minutes in, it starts to let go a bit, starts to loosen up, and then I think it's just before 3 minutes in, you've got this kind of riffy bit, and
Mhm.
then it really opens up into like this sort of
It's
proper nasty hardcore style riff.
Yeah, do you know what? It's like a classic opening track. The pacing is perfect. They begin. It just leads you into the album. There's this sort of brooding atmosphere,
Yeah,
and then it just evolves and it becomes this almost like shamanistic sort of pulse that just grows and grows and grows before we just kind of get the shot out of the cannon with like the Call Beneath, which is the track that comes after it.
yeah.
That's just where the album just lurches forward and it's like we're off.
It's tricky with post metal, isn't it? Because a lot of it, like you see, bands like this live, and they quite often start a live set with something quite low key and then build up to like a big finish.
Yeah.
Now, I think this album flows in a way where it's not like, a classic Cult Luna, which does that. It's these big crushing bits, and then the melody comes in from nowhere, and there's a change of pace, and it just does enough to keep you interested in that sense. It's not always pummeling,
Not
and
to,
it do-
no,
and it
and no.
doesn't
I
get
mean,
drawn out.
when I opened this discussion, we were talking about how confident they sound,
Mm,
and I meant to sort of add to that. That's not just the production, but the arrangements.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of sophistication in how they're putting these songs together, and it just sounds effortless. What one of the thoughts I had was, I think what URZAH do really well, and especially on this release, is they manage to balance the complexity because there's a lot of complex musical lines in
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
interesting ideas, but they balance it perfectly with metal, right? It's like they don't forget
yeah.
that they're a metal band, and the ratio is completely right. You think about bands like I know, like Tool and Meshuggah, that use a lot of sort of complexity in their
Mm.
music, but maybe forget that there's nothing wrong with a good old chug,
Good old fucking
and
riff.
I think that's what URZAH do really well. They know when to just chug it. They're still using kind of these big throaty guitar sounds, the
I
you know
love I
the,
love the guitar tone because it's almost it's really difficult to describe it, and that's why like Neurosis at the era sort of Sun That Never Sets, like stuff like that. That's what
right.
it reminds me of because it's really rumbly and it sort of hits you sort of here. If you really crank up the volume, it just really hits you fucking hard. So I don't know what they've done to achieve that,
Well, I,
but
I mean,
it
I don't know.
works.
I haven't got a good enough ear to know what sort of equipment they're using, but to my mind, it taps straight into that. It's a humbucker pickup for a Marshall amp.
Yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
classic, just high gain, like heavy, gritty, dirty guitar tone. Now, what they've done to achieve that, I don't know. For all I know, they could be playing through all sorts, but that's the effect I think you get from the guitar sounds on this album. It's just like good old heavy rock and roll,
Gnarly, isn't it?
gnarly.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, which makes the art of contrast even better, I think, when it does go a little bit more melodic.
Mm,
You've got sort of tracks like Bark Branches, which is a sort of an acoustic interlude kind of thing, but it
yeah.
it falls in the middle of the album. So and before it, you've got Infernal Star 2, and then after it, you've got In the Mouth of the Wolf, and they're both chunkier, heavier songs. So it
Oh,
takes you
yeah.
on that little bit of a journey, breaks it up a little bit before it picks up again in the second half. And I think the position of that is just right.
It's great, and obviously it's got it's as you said, it's like an acoustic piece, not in the traditional sense. I mean, there's a lot of kind of weirdness going on,
Mm.
and I'll get to that in a minute. And obviously it's got a clean vocal, which if I remember is Dan, isn't it? Because
Yes.
if you tune into the episode, we had URZAH on the show, and they talk at length about kind of what it took to get some of these vocals. Dan invested a lot of his time with a vocal coach, um, to bring this sound to the album, and it's a great flavor. It just completely complements everything else that's going on, and does that classic trick of just providing some light against the shade.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And said vocal coach appears on the album as well, which I think is quite a nice touch. Little things like that could make a real difference.
Yeah.
I think in terms of sort of highlight tracks, again, I go back to In the Mouth of the Wolf, which is a, real sort of abrasive, dirty, but lots of little widdly bits in there as well. And
Oh, yeah.
I
Now
think
this,
it's going to be one of those albums. We've had it for probably about a month now, so we've had plenty of time to really sort of get into it. And I've had a couple of extra listens in the last couple of days, but I think it's going to continue to evolve, and that you're going to keep
there's
hearing
so
more. And
there's so much. There's so many layers. I mean, in the Mouth of the Wolf, um, and actually across the album, you can hear sort of like underneath everything, there's this almost permanent sort of wash of like synths and
yeah,
sounds that are just sort of simmering away, that just give it this really like and it's quite a feat actually because it's an abrasive sounding album. It's
mm,
definitely in your face, but there's this ethereal quality under the whole thing, which they achieve by using different noises. I know like Luke is on there on cello, Luke Clemenger, guests, and
from
I can only
Froggle. Yep.
imagine that they've put that cello through all sorts of kind of manipulation to get it to sound weird. Um, but yeah, in addition to that, the guitars. Now you talk about noticing things. Um, there's so much going on. Like I'm a massive fan of a real kind of contrast between what's going on the left side speaker and what's going on in the
Yeah.
right side speaker. We've got two guitarists, and there's stuff going on. Like, I've been that way ever since. You can blame Appetite for Destruction for that. I just
Yeah.
love the way that's produced. Okay. But it's always great when you can hear two guitar players playing off each other.
Yeah.
And there is a ton of that on this album, like a ton of it. At parts it reminds me of, and it's a loose connection. They don't, it's not a direct comparison sound-wise, but there's a lot of At the Drive-In
Okay.
go just the way it's kind of like your ear sort of is taken off in all these different sort of positions of like little angular sounds coming in all over the place. It's incredible really that is sustained throughout the pretty much the whole album.
Yeah, it's bold, isn't it? I think is the way to look at it. It's bold and ballsy. I mean, it is effectively a follow-up. It's a continuation of a theme to A
Yeah.
Scorching Gaze from, again, what Tom and Ed were telling us. But it definitely feels like a progression. The album ends on Entwined Twisted Roots of Chaos. Again, wonderful title, which is 12 minutes long.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a bit more sort of slow burning, a bit sort of like early Cult Luna and Oceanic era ISIS. I'm throwing around a lot of big names here.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, but also I think like, well, as with any 13 minute song, it's kind of contractually obliged to start very quiet
of
and just
course,
sort of,
yeah,
and sort of build up. It's a big
yeah,
crescendo, and what this ends up being is just kind of like almost 13 minutes of like pure catharsis.
mm,
It's just this big kind of raging storm at the end of the album that almost kind of washes everything away in this
yeah.
final sort of grand gesture of I don't know, like weight and as I said, catharsis.
Well, you finish the album with a bit of a fucking. It's like that, and it like the best post metal albums do that. They just leave you feeling a bit breathless at the end, and this 100% achieves that, and I fucking love that. Absolutely love that.
And crucially, actually, it's not overly long, so it's got a real kind of like
No,
take
no,
a breath, and then I'm going to skip back to the start again.
yeah,
So
yeah,
which I
really.
think is the sign of a great album. And another sign of a great album, I'm just going to rewind slightly, just very briefly, is the singles and the way they just burrow themselves
Mm.
into your mind. Because Infernal Star Part One for me is just like I've heard it enough times now that every time it comes on, I'm just like, yeah, it's just got that really uplifting. It's heavy, but it's got a kind of lift to it, which I think is brilliant.
Tux, isn't it?
It's hooks, yeah. The second half of that song and the way it kind of cascades into part two, that whole portion of the album
Yeah.
just makes me kick the furniture over, but in a good way.
Well, I think let's take it back to the new Neurosis comparisons then, because
Mm,
we were sort of starting to throw around some sweeping statements. Now I'm going to throw out a sweeping statement, basically off the back of what you said.
right,
Um, I've lived with the new Neurosis for quite a while. I am a fan of Neurosis. I believe they are one of the greats, but they're not one of those bands that I absolutely adore like a lot of people do. I
right.
listen to this and I think what URZAH are doing is taking what Neurosis have built a foundation on, and this is moving forward with it. This is taking that sound and
Yeah, cool.
doing something fresh. And it is, and you can clip this shit, it is a country mile better than the new Neurosis album.
I mean,
By a long shot.
not going to push back that statement. Yeah, I've listened to so I'm in the same boat as you in Neurosis. I've listened to the new record and I like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah.
But I think, that's just one ingredient that's gone into this album. I think that's the
Yeah,
point
exactly.
is I would, I'd say that's an influence they've taken. There's a lot of Mastodon in this album as well.
Yeah.
That's an influence they've taken. But the point being they've just washed all of this up and they swallowed it down and what's kind of emerged has been their own thing. And it's great, and it's another UK band to get excited about, I think.
Yeah, it is, and that's the important thing. They've already got their own sound. Like straight away based off the debut when you first stick this one on, it's an URZAH album,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to achieve that already, like an identity is fucking it's brilliant. And I think the future's really bright for them. It really is. They're a band that should be high on the bill at Roadburn and Dunk and Arctangent and all these festivals that cater for this kind of music. They really need to be up there. The exposure
Yeah.
is waiting, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So big up the URZAH.
Fucking right.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
right.
This one's a winner. This is kind of up there in my kind of album of the year.
Yeah,
You know,
it's going to be
but
one. Yeah, definitely going to be one for the end of the year. And this one's on vinyl as well, so even better.
happy days.
So cheers, Fieldy, for that. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, it's out on the 6th of June. You can pre-order it now from APF on Bandcamp or URZAH's Bandcamp themselves. It will come from APF. It's a really nice sort of coloured vinyl and all that. T-shirts,
Mm.
packages, all the usual things you can get.
All
So
the spangly galaxy type thing, and
yeah,
actually another point, actually, just to briefly come back to it as well. I love the way that the music just evokes the album cover.
yeah, it does,
That
and it
kind of
works.
idea of just kind of staring out into this void,
Yeah,
to state the obvious. Um, so it just feels very joined up and connected, and
yeah.
everything just feels as it should be. The
It's just a
complete
great.
package.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. It's a great package. So yeah, no, you can see them in the summer as well. They're doing a like a record release show in a month or so's time in Bristol. I can't remember the exact date. There's a great lineup on that. I think 100-Year-Old Man are playing it as well. Mountainscape are playing it. So that's a
Yeah.
really cool one. And obviously you can come and see them at Bay Days as well on August the 1st here in Chelmsford. So,
Oh
which of
man.
course is what you should do.
Without a doubt, man. That Bay Days is going to be such a good day, man.
It is.
Such.
It is. So there you go. Right, make sure you check this out. Let us know what you think about it when you do as well, because it's always good to hear people's views. But yeah, the future's bright. The future's URZAH, isn't it?
And on that note, stay heavy.
Cheers.